This is an exceptionally early model, produced in 1973, and it's quite significantly different. The Ulyanov automobile plant began developing a new off-roader for the Army as soon as production of the UAZ-469 started. Revolutionary ideas were being proposed. Rear engine layout, torsion bar suspension, disc brakes, and rack and pinion steering were all considered, and it was supposed to be amphibious. But the military said no. They had their own vision, period, so everything had to be redone from scratch, and all that remained from the prototypes was a sense of unfinished business. The most important thing you need to understand, the 69 and the 469 are only related by name. They're basically different vehicles. And the fact that they look similar? Well, come on, it's a frame and an open body. The 469 is the quintessence of knowledge gathered during the Great Patriotic War and years of operating similar vehicles. The frontline roads prove that the simpler, the better. That's why it has a frame. Even though they wanted a unibody design, but a unibody design means less ground clearance. I'll explain why a bit later. But the frame isn't like a truck's, it's got bends for the axles. This was done to improve the vehicle's stability and lower its center of gravity. And the Kozlik isn't exactly small. Length, 4,025 millimeters. Width, 1,805 millimeters. Height, 2,015 millimeters. The military thought in a practical and straightforward way. But the main thing is, the new UAZ had to have an opening rear tailgate. Rear engine layout? Forget it. Removable extensions on all doors, window regulators? Forget those too. Oh, I forgot. The mechanism that holds the spare wheel was invented in the Soviet Union, the very first. And only later did it appear on Toyotas and all sorts of Rovers. There's something to be proud of. And to come up with something else practical and tactical, the military kept thinking. Oh, right, about the dot. The windshield is made of two halves. Well, first of all, it's easier to repair, and second, it looks nice. But that's not all. The height of the vehicle with the windshield folded down had to be no more than 1 meter. Approximately, so it could be dropped from a plane onto the heads of enemies, so that the canvas top and frame could be removed completely, so that the headlights, taillights, and marker lights were like on all military vehicles, and exactly where the military specified. After all, the blackout covers for them are standard and strictly regulated. And the floor needs to be absolutely flat. Why? So it can be washed and decontaminated without any liquid pooling, so everything drains out smoothly, right? And there's no need for interior upholstery. A soldier is there to fight, not to enjoy comfort. Although for some reason this UAZ does add it. But I think that's some kind of aftermarket modification. Although the handles are canvas, notice they're authentic original ones, done properly by the book. See how the lock latch is implemented here? The lock latch. They just looped a little strap over it, and that's it. And the handle won't open. But surprisingly, even the military couldn't resist the big hood. Of course, they said it was because there's a lot of metal and so on, but they agreed that it was convenient and looked good. And if necessary, the entire front end of the 469 can be completely disassembled. Let's start gradually pointing out the differences. See this mesh? That's the air intake for the feeble heater, which in old UASs is located on the right. And this little cover here, it's still present even now. This is not a manual air conditioning. It was made to make it easier to remove the engine. The hood also opens from the outside. Back then, stealing anything from cars wasn't really a thing, especially from military or police vehicles. Under the hood lives the old UAZ-451, a carbureted 4-stroke engine with inline cylinders and overhead valves. The displacement is 2,445 cubic centimeters. It produces 75 horsepower according to the specs at 4,000 RPM. Maximum torque is 166 Newton meters at 2,200 to 2,500 RPM. Made in the USSR, 12-73. This is a reimagined engine from the 21st Volga, so the easiest way to tell it apart is by the jiggly oil filter. Now let's get inside the cabin. By the way, the handles are from the GAZ-69. It's thanks to them that the signature side panels appeared. The belt line matches the handle when it's lowered all the way down. And there are no locks. Haven't gone in yet. Look at the pedals. They're floor mounted. And there's no booster either. And the master cylinder is from the 69. And the washer is a bulb syringe. The interior is as empty and simple as the life of a Red Army soldier. There's just enough comfort to keep you alive in tough conditions. But if you say, oh, the bourgeois cared about theirs, I'll say no. You simply don't know a damn thing. Look at the early Rovers. They're even sadder and cramped too. Simple as that. Inside the UAZ, it's as spacious as the step. Everything seems nice, but there's nothing for the eye to catch out. But we know where the little treat is hidden. See? No, and I don't see it either. But it's there. Look at the instruments. They're all white. Well, almost all of them. A drop of beauty has fallen on the dried up field of the UAZ. And here we have the luxury trim. The ceiling is insulated from the factory. At the back, there's the dragon's tail. The radio is truly and exceptionally wonderful. The radio transceiver, by the way, is included as a fully integrated piece of standard equipment. But the most touching thing is this little thing right here. For those who might not be familiar with it, this tool is actually called a blade. It's for when the windows get completely covered in thick ice, to scrape off the frost. At the same time, 5 soldiers can easily sit here comfortably, and you can fit 2 more in the trunk. You can seat them, or you can throw out the back seats and turn it into a pickup. The only downside is there aren't many pockets, because the ones that are here are too huge and impractical. Another element of step beauty. 4 Saxall levers, the gear shift and 2 transfer case levers, and the handbrake. The plaque is worn away by time, but the petroglyphs are still there. He said, let's go. And then they all what? Just think about it. This car is from '73, but it drives like it's brand new. It has regular farm axles without differentials. They slightly reduce the vehicle's ground clearance, but make life easier for the owner or any forced rider. Thanks to them, fuel consumption is lower and speed is higher. The picture will be shaky, but please don't hold it against us. A difference. On the old models, the shackles on the front leaf springs are positioned at the front. This is an exceptionally poor and frustrating design choice, because on average, rugged tree stumps and deep muddy ruts, the steering wheel gets ripped right out of your hands, and steering while wearing gloves is just completely and utterly ridiculous. Farm axles provide 220 mm ground clearance and counterweights 300. Early models used half shafts with 6 bolts, later moving to 8. What hasn't changed over the years is the concept. For example, the car has 2 fuel tanks, each holding 39 liters. But which one is the main tank? Let me know in the comments. Brakes without a booster just show how cool you are if you can stop exactly where you want, and perfectly straight like along a string. Yes, sitting behind the wheel of the Auzic isn't always comfortable. And why is that? Because the first person who sat in this car adjusted the seat to fit their own backside. So you end up driving after them, after a small Soviet man, and you suffer for it. Fuel consumption. Where are you driving? The average, as they say, is 20 liters per 100 kilometers. It's a bit chilly in the cabin. I told you that heater on the right doesn't heat well. But you're not freezing. You work in the rugged UAZ and you sweat profusely. But the UAZ doesn't sweat unless it's lugged. The engine may be a bit weak, but the driver's head makes up for everything. The UAZ, weighing in at 1,650 kilograms, can carry 700 kilograms of cargo and tow a trailer of the same weight, and sometimes even more. Yes, it's rough, bumpy, and loud here, but it's awesome. And if you've never actually driven or experienced a UAZ, you cannot truly judge its performance or give it a fair rating. The maximum speed is 120 kilometers per hour, but you already start to feel a sense of genuine fear at 60. Yes, the 469 doesn't just roll through the gates, it bursts in, scaring itself even more. But if you find common ground with the GOAT, you'll be surprised and fall in love with it for the rest of your life. That's why people love it, first and foremost, for its versatility, with off-road capability taking the top spot. The fording depth is 70 centimeters, and the approach and departure angles, combined with the metal bumpers, are minimal. Why am I even listing all this? Enough whining. How many years has it been, and it's always the same thing? Go complain to G-Wagon owners that the car is old and shabby. And UAZ owners look at the whiners like they're pitiful and just don't get it. The hunt continues.